Hey, everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Alice.
Hey now.
Greg, what are you doing here?
Hey, what do you mean? Allison,
Where'd you come from, Greg?
I came from the world of Childish, and I just want to make sure that your listeners know that you're just as wonderful on the other podcast you do.
What if they don't have kids?
Don't need them. You don't need them. A lot of our listeners actually tell us they don't have kids. We talk about sex.
We talk about all sorts of dirty stuff,
Yeah.
but also parenting stuff.
Yeah, so.
Check out Childish. New episodes every Wednesday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Maybe I should have gotten next. Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her the good times never end. Allison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison's your new best friend.
Hey, everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Very excited to welcome my upcoming guest. But first, I must catch up with producer Tony Thaxton. Now, Tony, normally I would ask you a question and you would be given permission to speak. However, I have to cut myself off and tell you that while I was listening to the theme song, I think a goose flew past my house. The biggest bird. I just saw I just saw feet, bird tail feathers, and I don't know what part of the bird I would call that. Below the torso.
The underside.
Yeah, the bird's undercarriage. I saw a humongous bird's undercarriage, and then I heard just a honking sound. I'm
Weird.
telling you. Remember when I threatened to do a limited series podcast about the history of this house, which no one cares about, which is going to rival Serial or whatever the most serial podcast is now. Just you guys, you wait till you hear the history of my Burbank house. Well,
Is that the first you've seen a bird like that at your house?
a dinosaur-sized bird.
Yeah.
Now, I think some dinosaurs were actually small. That's come out in recent years, but this was like a traditional-sized dinosaur. I think a pterodactyl flapped past my house and
That seems
waved its
logical,
undercarriage in my window. This is the
They're
first
known
time
to
I've
do
seen
that.
that kind of bird. I've seen parrots. Everyone knows about that. Just check in on Nextdoor. Anyway, enough about that. I know some real bird heads are going to be writing in saying, they're actually called birders. They're not called bird watchers. They're not called bird heads. They're called birders. My brother-in-law is one, or was one years ago. Now he has children, so I don't think he has time for that. But we're going to move on. Tony Thaxton, you have a couple relatives who, when we last talked on the last Monday show, now I did see you on the Thursday show, but we didn't get into this. You have a couple relatives who had or have COVID. How are they doing?
They are doing a lot better now. One is pretty much all the way recovered, and one is getting very close to being fully recovered. They're doing much better. I think as of 2 days ago, she said she was feeling the best she had in over a week, but did say that it was really terrible and terrifying. And they had moments of not being able to catch her breath and was terrified that she just wasn't going to be able to breathe.
That is very scary.
Yeah. But thankfully things
She's
seem
breathing.
to be going up now. So
Now, did either
fine.
of them receive any treatment? Because I feel like I've heard, now I'm speaking out of my ass, unlike my studied bird thoughts. I keep hearing about antiviral treatment now.
yes, I don't know why I'm being vague about who it is. I don't think it matters. But it was my brother-in-law and my sister, and my brother-in-law had it first, and he did get some sort of antiviral infusion. I don't really know much beyond that, but he did get that. My sister did not get anything. That's all I got. I don't know.
Now, do you feel like your family members are done getting COVID? Because
I sure
it's
hope
really
so.
worked. It's really wended its way through the Thaxton clan.
Yeah. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really talked to, because most of them are in the Midwest, and I don't know how. I know that they're taking it seriously, but I don't know how serious that area is taking it, though.
Right.
I haven't really asked many details on that.
Scary. Well, I'm glad that they are on the mend. And now you didn't know you were going to be quizzed.
Ooh, I
But
did not.
yeah, it's your turn to ask me for an update on the thing that we discussed on the last Monday show. And this is where I see whether you were paying attention. And by the way, I'm getting intense deja vu. But I don't think we've had this conversation before. So that's just a me problem.
Okay. You're referring to the slugs in your house?
No,
What was last
I
time?
had a humongous important update that I was all ready to share about it, but then you had to make it about you and your family and their COVID.
You asked me about
No, on the last show.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I was like, well, now my stupid update about my stupid situation involving my stupid fucking house is going to sound really unimportant. I mean, it already sounded unimportant, but now it sounds unimportant and insensitive against the backdrop of life and death.
Yeah.
It's not slugs in my bathroom, which thank God I haven't seen any more of. I can tell that you're having trouble remembering.
I am. But as you said, no, I remembered. Okay, yeah, the slugs. Well, that was on with Sarah Watkins.
Right.
I can't remember.
This was the Danny Jollis episode.
Yes. Oh, your dishwasher.
That's right.
Yes. We got there.
It wasn't worth the time it took to get there, but we did. Well, anyway, I am happy to say we have a new dishwasher now.
Oh, baby.
I go to sleep we've had it for 2 nights now. I mean, when I last talked with you, I was could not make a decision, but I was decisive and I pulled the trigger and that one was unavailable. And then that happened like 4 more times. And then finally I was just like, what do you have? And now we have what they had. And I go to sleep each night thinking, will the dishes be clean in the morning? Will they be dry? And they've been both clean and dry for 2 nights in a row. So I'm telling you, wow.
COVID be damned. All you need is this dishwater. Dishwater?
Dishwater.
I haven't spoken much today.
I get that. I used to, if I was answering back in the days when one answered a phone, if I was answering the phone for the first time, and it could be like afternoon and I hadn't talked to anyone, I would go like, hello, and then hello, so that I didn't, just to practice. Anyway, enough of all this. But if you need more of all this, youtube.com/AllisonRosen, you can see this, and also patreon.com/AllisonRosen. Do you want to play it? Let's play it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We don't usually on Mondays.
I know, but this is a new era.
All right.
Patreon.com/AllisonRosen. Weekly bonus episodes, Zoom party. In fact, right after this, I'm going to record one with my husband, and we're going to answer all your questions. Nothing off limits. You can see videos of the Thursday shows and other perks that I'm forgetting right now, but oh my God, perks galore. Anyway, Tony, we have a very exciting show ahead of us. Our guest, Stefanie Wilder-Taylor, is someone that my listeners have been, I was going to say hounding me, but that has like a pejorative sound. I don't mean that. They have been suggesting and requesting her for a very long time. She is a writer, a TV personality, a podcast host, currently hosts, if I am correct, 3 podcasts, for crying out loud, Bored AF, Rosepricks. She's also a mother, and she's also the author of 5 books, including Sippy Cups Are Not for Chardonnay. Let's put your hands together for Stefanie Wilder-Taylor. Hello, welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi, Allison. Hi, Tony.
Hello.
So yeah,
I was deep into your dishwasher trauma myself, listening to that episode, and I had some oven trauma.
Oh no!
Because yes, apparently I had one of the last and have gas ovens. They're all electric now. So when our oven stopped ovening, we had to go get one, and there was only one. You go to an appliance store and they say, well, you don't have a choice. Here's our one oven.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Were you happy with your one oven?
It's fine. Yeah, it ovens.
It's funny. I find this to be the case with so many things in life where when you have to make the decision, and yes, it's a privilege to get to spend that much time, going into the minutia of something. But like, I probably know more about dishwashers than I know. I'm like on par with a dishwasher salesman in terms of my knowledge of all the different features and things. And I look forward to this just falling out of my head in like 2 to 3 weeks because I don't need to know that much minutia. We bought one that has the soft water feature thing so we can, and I'm like, did we need to do that? I got talked into it. Did I get the dishwasher equivalent of undercoating for my car?
I mean, but a dishwasher is important.
Yeah.
And I like our dishwasher and we've had it for a long time. But when something happens, you really know something happened because you can't wash your dishes.
Right.
And so it's very important. I think you should have a quality dishwasher. So I'm glad you put in the time.
I think we do. I think we have a quality one. I mean, I walk into the kitchen and I feel better.
Also now, just if things go sideways, you could work at Lowe's.
That's right.
So there's that.
I really can. Like, ask me anything. Truly. Ask me, Tony, play some kind of thing to indicate a quiz happening.
Tony Thaxton.
Perfect. Ask me some kind of dishwasher question. Then we'll get into our guest.
Wow, I don't even know if I can think of a dishwasher question.
Tony, do you have a dishwasher?
I don't, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're
it sucks.
fired.
I know. I deserve to be fired.
Yeah.
I hate not having one. I've had them in the past, and I much prefer to have one, but yeah, this place doesn't have one.
I'm sorry to be just dangling. Stephanie and I are both sorry to be dangling our appliances in your face.
We
I'm
feel
used
bad.
to it.
I feel pretty bad. Yeah. Daniel didn't have a dishwasher when I met him, and he also didn't have a microwave, and he claimed he didn't need either of these things, and I don't understand that.
I do have a microwave, but
This is really funny. My husband didn't have a microwave either, and we had to change it, and he didn't want one. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm not moving into your house without a microwave. That's ridiculous.
Right. What is up with people who are convinced that microwaves are redundant or unnecessary?
So necessary. Well, they've never had to make a lean cuisine before.
That's right. I mean, a lean cuisine takes like 35 to 45 minutes in the oven, gas or electric. Nope. Some of them nowadays you can't even put in your oven. They're microwave only. Okay, Stephanie, would you like to test my dishwasher knowledge? I feel that I have I've made a bed for myself that I'm not going to be able to lie in because we're going to find out I don't know that much.
Okay, let's just say your dishwasher, it won't you need to reset it.
Okay.
Do you know what buttons, what do you push to reset the dishwasher?
Uh-oh. Can you just unplug it and plug it back in?
You can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll accept that.
Thank you. What were you looking for? What were the judges looking for?
I don't know because I would have to Google it all the time because I accidentally lock myself out of my dishwasher and then have to Google how to reset it.
I do think we do have too many electronics in general in our appliances. Like somehow the alarm on our refrigerator was engaged so that if the door is open for more than 20 seconds, which it always is, it begins dinging. And it took some work to figure out how to turn that off. Okay. Enough of all that. Stefanie Wilder-Taylor, 3 podcasts and 5 books, right?
Yes.
It's very prolific.
Well, I haven't written a book in a while. I can't imagine doing that at the same time as having a lot of podcasts. But I like having podcasts better than writing books.
I call myself a writer, but when I think about it, it's really kind of been a while since I've written, and I definitely don't write every day. And I do get into I will find myself feeling sort of pent up. And then if I sit down and write, I feel better. But that's like a quarterly experience. I really don't do it and I've been thinking, maybe I'm not really the writer that I call myself.
Personally, I teach writing also 3 nights a week. And I feel like that's a universal experience.
Okay.
I don't know who these people are that give the advice of like, writers write. Writers write every day. I think that's bullshit.
Thank you.
I don't. No one I know does. And most writers do not like actually writing. It's not enjoyable. It's fun
really
to have
not.
written.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
not fun to sit in front of your computer and, negative talk yourself to death.
So you teach, right? Are you a workaholic?
I think I'm a hustler.
Okay.
More than a workaholic. I think that I grew up pretty poor, and I think I always feel some sort of a deficit, like that I need to be overcoming. So like if I have 2 podcasts, why not have 3? I could be having 3. I have time. And I was teaching 1 night a week. And then when the pandemic happened, I realized I could do it on Zoom. And then I realized, well, it's so easy. I'm just sitting at my desk. Why not do 2 nights a week? And then that was going fine. So I was like, let me try 3. And then my husband says, like, don't do that to yourself. Don't. That's going to be too stressful. And I go, I got this. And then I get really stressed and complain a lot.
So so that was going to be my question. Do you have this?
I mean, I get burnt out. But here's the thing. I can't really complain because I love everything I do. I mean, how can you complain about being a podcaster for a living? I
do feel very fortunate, and especially working from home with little kids. It's, I feel very lucky to be doing it. So three podcasts, like I said, for crying out loud, Rosepricks, which is a Bachelor podcast, right?
Yes.
And then,
which I used to do with my friend Ronnie Karam. And then he was so busy. He has to watch like 1 million Bravo shows and recap them. So I brought in my friend Angel Lakita Moore, who's Black and can also speak to it. Just so happened that she's Black. No, it also just so happened that the show
did
got
you not
really,
know?
She surprised me. I was like, I haven't seen you in a while. But it was interesting that the show, I don't know if you know, but there was like a lot of like racial controversy this season.
I didn't watch this past season, but I know a little bit about it. So wait, actually, can you fill me in? Because I saw you were tweeting like The Bachelor's going to end, right? It has to end, right?
Well, but so many things were happening. And then, so Rachel Lindsay was the first Black bachelorette. And she was really outspoken about, just trying to make the show bring back equality, not bring back equality. It just
introduce equality.
It was a very white show. Like, equity for different races, for diversity on the show. And she wasn't being listened to very much, really. They kind of were paying her lip service, and then they would still have these contestants come in. And then you'd find out that they have, they've had this history of like racist tweets, or, some stuff would come up in their background that was just like, you guys, how come the Redditors can figure this out, but the producers can't?
Right.
And then they decided that they were going to have Matt James, who hadn't even been a previous contestant. He was a friend of a previous contestant. He was going to be the first Black bachelor, and it was a big deal. And then one of the contestants on Matt's season, the one he ended up picking, it turned out that she had liked she had taken some pictures at a plantation at an antebellum party. She had liked some Instagram pictures of her friends posed in front of a Confederate flag.
Oh my God.
And the guy that she's vying for is African American.
Right.
So it was not a good look. So then what happened is Chris Harrison did an interview with Rachel Lindsay, the first Black bachelorette, hosts for Entertainment Tonight. She has a feature, and she interviewed Chris Harrison. And then he said some things where he was like,
right. He was saying that this girl shouldn't get
racist.
Right. Like she shouldn't just get canceled. Right. Wasn't he saying that?
Right. But
yeah.
Rachel wasn't saying to cancel her. Rachel was saying, I think we need to hear from her.
Yeah.
Is what she was saying, because it's not a good look. And then Chris Harrison said, but is it a bad look? I mean, was it a bad look in 2018?
Right.
Or is it a bad look in 2021?
Not that long ago.
Exactly. So it was, and he was sort of shouting her down and saying like, Who are you? Who are you to say whether it's a good or bad look? So that's how he got himself in trouble. And that's how the whole thing. And meanwhile, I brought Angel in. She'd never really watched the show ever before. So
and
I was
she happened to be Black. You didn't know, but
turned out to be Black. She surprised me. I was like, this is convenient because you can weigh in on this.
It really worked out for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was good because it opened my eyes, and it was like very interesting to have her to listen to tell me things like from her experience and her experience growing up in the South and her experience with racism. And it was super interesting to me, and I'm happy it happened.
So that was her first time watching the show?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, starting with The Bachelorette, the season before Matt, which was with Claire and Tayshia.
Right.
Yeah, her first time.
So do you think this might, is The Bachelor going to rebound from this?
I mean, it will. You know, this is America, damn it.
You're right.
I mean, it's listen, the show is a moneymaker. It would have to really be getting no ratings for them to cancel The Bachelor. I think they'll try. I think they'll try to make it better, and they'll try to do what they can to please everybody. But for a while, though, I was like, this seems touch and go. I don't know how they continue on, but now I think they will.
And then Bored AF, which you do with Cecily Nobler, I was listening to that today. I also listened to, so I'm not caught up on The Bachelor. Okay. But with Bored AF, I was like, oh, there's not a show that I need to be caught up on to know what they're talking about on this one. So I was listening to Bored AF. I loved it. I love it. It was, you guys are so fun to listen to. I also enjoyed the morning show. And my husband also tried to rain on my parade of enjoyment of that show.
What is that?
I don't know. He did this also with a show called Homecoming on Amazon with Julia Roberts. Did you watch that? It was based on a podcast.
I listened to the podcast.
I never listened to I don't care for podcasts. I'm just kidding. I never listened to the podcast. But I watched the show, and I was very entertained and taken with the show. And then he was just in the corner, like grousing about it. And finally I was like, could you just stop? I just want to enjoy it. I didn't say it in such a bitchy way. Maybe I did.
That's what I have to do. It's so hard. And also, like, I used to watch The Real Housewives with my husband. It's a pandemic. We're all home.
Yeah.
So this could bring him out to rebut this, but like, hopefully he won't hear me. But he started to have a lot to say about the Housewives, and it makes it a little less
fun. Wait, what? I know you're being strategic because he might hear you and come out, which would be okay.
It's okay.
But like, what kinds of things? Because I actually worry that I'm your husband when it comes to Vanderpump Rules. Because first my husband said he would never ever watch it. And then I caught this on Instagram. I put it on a story years ago, back in 2018 when racism was okay, according to Chris Harrison. I caught him watching a scene from it and laughing. And then he got really into it. And then he got super into it. He's still super into it pretty much. But when we watch, he wants to sort of dissect their personality disorders and their characters and all this. And I'm the one over kind of pointing out, but there's producers and what if I'm taking him out of it like your husband might do with you?
Well, I think it comes down to if you're watching it for escape. I think sometimes I just want to watch it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have to keep pausing it and go, sure, let's talk about, wow, that housewife has really had a lot of plastic surgery. I'm like, yeah, obvious. That's a given. That's a given when you want, like, we don't need to talk about that. Like, I just want to see what happens.
Exactly. It's Tony. Do you do this where I know you live alone now, but do you turn something on and then pause it every few minutes or seconds to talk about it?
No, I
we should be interviewing Bentley, your dog, actually.
Yes. No, he doesn't get talked to about TV shows so much. He's just told that he's a nice young man.
Where is he right now?
He's sleeping next to me.
Oh, okay.
He went to the dog park, so I got him worn out so he wouldn't jump all over me today.
Nice. Stephanie, Tony has a new pup who is so cute but very, very attached to him. And frequently while we are recording, Bentley's head will just appear over Tony's shoulder. It's very cute.
Aw.
Yeah.
I love my dog so it's crazy. I'm obsessed
Yeah.
with my dog.
Me too.
She's very Velcro too.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't care about other dogs.
She doesn't, you say?
No, she only wants to be with like her people.
Oh, see, he likes dogs a lot. Like he'll play with any dog he sees, and that's like the only time I ever hear him bark is if he gets frustrated that the dog is not playing with him. So he's ready to play. Yeah,
because then it's like having a needy spouse, right? Like when your dog only doesn't care about anybody else and they only want attention from you, and then it just gets to be a lot.
Right.
Like I wish my dog would spread the love and like play with another dog.
Yeah.
Sounds like you might want to talk to someone about that, Stefanie. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. If you are feeling depressed or struggling with relationships or having difficulty sleeping or meeting your goals, BetterHelp offers online professional counselors who can listen and help. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. Two of my friends right now, they've both been on the podcast and they've both talked about it. It's Allie and Greg. They are both doing BetterHelp, and they are so pleased with their therapist. Now, I know some people right now, especially, you might be thinking, well, what if it's not the right match? I don't want to start something. I don't want to be committed. With BetterHelp, if you don't like the first therapist that you're matched with, you can keep changing as many times as you want. It doesn't cost you anything extra. They will get you to the right person. And our listeners get 10% off their first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/bestfriend. Visit BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/bestfriend, and join the over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced BetterHelp professional. I also want to tell you guys about Raycon Earbuds. I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm always looking at a screen now more than ever. And whether you're an avid news watcher or in serious need of a distraction, unplugging yourself is easier said than done. One of my favorite ways to rest my eyes and still get the content I'm itching for, by putting in my Raycon wireless earbuds and listening to something great. Of late, I've been listening to past guests, the Sloppy Boys. Their music is stuck in my head. So like whatever a level beyond stuck in their music lives in my head. Mm-hmm. And then I have to listen to it. And then it just makes it more entrenched. This is a me problem, but it's, but I do enjoy it. And I do enjoy listening to them via my Raycon wireless earbuds. No dangling wires or stems to get in your way. Raycon come in a range of stylish colorways, but always with a comfortable in-ear fit for a more discreet look. Raycon is offering 15% off all their products for my listeners. And here's what you've got to do to get it. Go to buyraycon.com/bestfriend. That's it. You'll get 15% off your entire order. So feel free to grab a pair and a spare. That's 15% off at buyraycon.com/bestfriend. buyraycon.com/bestfriend. Okay. And we're back. So Stefanie, I don't know that I know a bit about your life story, but I don't know that much. We obviously don't have time to get into the entirety of your life story, although I want to, but we have all these questions that listeners sent in too. But I know you grew up in Queens, right?
And I was born in New York.
Okay.
I lived in LA. Moved around a little bit, was in Spokane, Washington for a little while, then Springfield, Massachusetts for part of high school. And then I came back to LA when I was 18, and I've been here ever since.
Okay. And what was your first ambition career-wise?
So I really wanted to be a stand-up comic. And I started
your dad
doing stand-up.
Was a stand-up?
Mm-hmm. My dad was he wasn't super famous, but he was on Ed Sullivan Show and Merv Griffin a million times, and he was definitely on the rise, but it didn't totally happen for him. You know, kind of his career kind of petered out. But I always thought that was really cool. I loved to laugh. I like to be made to laugh, and I always just thought that would be the coolest job ever, and I really wanted to do it. So it was like my dream, but I was very scared. I've never been, so I ended up doing stand-up comedy, but I was never one of those people that could just wing it ever. Way too anxious, self-conscious. I was a writer. I mean, I wrote my jokes out meticulously. And my first set, I had 3 minutes exactly. I timed it 1,000,000 times. Like, you couldn't go off script, you know?
Right.
I was like, please don't anybody look at me funny, or no distractions, because I won't know what to do. And that's kind of how I was. And I did stand up for a long time. I was pretty happy. Waited tables, did stand up. At some point, though, I was like, I don't know what there is. Like, you either have to want to be an actress, which I thought I was a horrible actress, and I just didn't, it wasn't my dream, or you have to want to just be on the road.
Right.
Like, I couldn't think of how I was going to actually, I wish I hadn't, taken 10 years to go, what else am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with this? What do I want to be when I grow up? But I realized I liked writing the jokes more than standing on stage and performing them. So then I got a job in television writing on a game show.
What was the game show?
It was called The Big Date with Mark Wahlberg, who hosts Temptation Island. He's the nicest guy ever.
The other Mark Wahlberg.
The other Mark Wahlberg, yeah. And it was a super fun show. It was such a working girl moment, because I don't know if you saw the movie Working Girl, but, I'd been slaving away, waiting tables, thinking I was rich if I made like $75 a shift waiting tables and $50 doing some stupid stand-up gig. I get this job, and they were paying me $850 a week.
Oh, nice.
And I walked in, and they were like, here's your computer. And I was like, for me? Like, wait. I felt like Melanie Griffith in Working Girl, where I was like, should I get someone's coffee? No. You sit down and you write some jokes. And it was like the greatest moment ever.
That's great. So you enjoyed that job?
I loved it. Yeah. I did that for a couple seasons, and then the show ended. And then I just started going from show to show to show. I worked on a lot of game shows. I worked on The Dating Game. I worked on Blind Date. I worked on this show called Russian Roulette. I worked on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh,
which was really fun.
I bet, yeah.
I worked on Hollywood Squares. And then during that time, I met my husband. And then once I had a baby, I was like, oh my God, I thought I would be one of those moms that's like pops the baby out and just goes right back to work. Like, that's the kind of thing that I thought parenting was. Like, you don't have to change your lifestyle. You can go to parties. The baby goes and sleeps in the coat room.
I thought this too. And I'm like, what made me think that? And I think it was just, for me, it was just a refusal logistically to consider what it meant, because it was too overwhelming maybe. What do you think it was for you?
I think so too. I don't think I banked on how much anxiety I was going to have as a new mom. Like, how all-consuming keeping a baby alive is to your brain. You can't do anything else.
No.
So I don't know who these carefree people are that are just like, I'm just going to go back to, like, I was like, well, then what do you do with the baby?
Right.
People would be like, you put him in daycare. What?
Yeah.
What daycare? I remember getting to a point when my older one, Albie, was, little, and I was bored and, going, it's not that fulfilling just going to Target every day.
Right.
I mean, now it is, but
back then there were more options. Yeah. Life offered more.
So I remember thinking, like, I am going to try to get a job. I was really into it. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to man up and check out some daycares. And I went and looked at some, and each one I was like, this place smells bad, and then I'd go home and cry.
Yeah.
Or I was like, I saw a kid wandering around crying and nobody was paying attention to them. I can't leave my baby here. And then finally I went to this one that everybody was like, okay, you need to leave her at a home daycare. That was the thing they were trying to sell me on. Right. Like, you don't want to go to one of those institutionalized, you want to go to somebody's house. So I went to this place, and it was Russian. Everybody was Russian. And I walk into this room, apparently I was in the wrong part of the house, not the daycare part. And it was where it was like this huge family and there were all these old men sitting around like smoking like a hookah pipe or something. And I was like, she was 16 months at the time, the baby with me. And they were like, oh, you want to go over there? So I'm already scared.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, are they going to teach her to smoke a pipe? Is that what
Right.
they
What's
do
happening here?
So I bring her over to this other area where this woman was, and we're on this place, like this play structure while I'm the lady's telling me, you know, that we're going to have borscht for lunch every day and we're going to, whatever she was saying. And then out of the corner of my eye, I noticed this kid kick Elby in the head.
Oh my God.
And she starts crying. And yeah, the thing was I had a job offer at the time. So I was pretty desperate to get her in a good situation. Kid kicks her in the head. She's crying. I was like, excuse me, that little boy just kicked my baby in the head. And the lady's like, oh yeah, he was jealous because, you know, she had her mom here. And I was like,
oh, okay.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to be turning down the job offer, but...
Oh, so you did turn it down.
Turned it down. Yeah.
Do you regret that?
No. God, no.
Yeah.
Maybe she was a little younger than that at the time. No, because then I just sort of committed that I'm going to be home for a year. That's what I decided. And then during that year, because I'm a hustler, I just like made the most of things and sort of changed careers.
That's great. What did you change careers into?
Well, I got a book deal.
So
she
you
was
wrote
only a few months old.
So you wrote a proposal during this time.
I did not write a proposal.
Okay.
So here's what happened. I was really good friends with Chelsea Handler at that time. And Chelsea had a book deal. And I had read a lot of Chelsea's chapters for her book before it was pitched, and they were so good. It was for her first book, My Horizontal Life.
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah. I remember reading the book, like just pages just from her word program at the gym. And I was like, this is so fun and so good. And, you know, she's a funny girl. So she got a book deal. And then I started a blog. I posted the first chapter of the first blog post. And then I sent it to Chelsea and like my sister and a friend of mine. And Chelsea called her agent. I didn't know this at the time. Sent it to her agent, and her agent called me.
That's so nice.
Yeah. And then he said, like, do you have anything else? And I was like, yes, which I did not. I had not written a word ever. I had nothing to show him. And he was like, okay, send it to me. And I was like, okay, I have to just get it together. Find it.
Got to choose which part of this oeuvre to send you.
Yeah. So I sat and I wrote some more sort of essays, and then I sent it to him, and then he got me a book deal.
That is amazing. I was under the impression you have to write a proposal. So this is eye-opening, and if anyone out there wants to call their agent and get me a book deal based on just nothing, thank you.
But you have a book.
I do. It's a collection of my columns, though. So, yeah,
okay.
it's. But I mean, yes, it is a book, and it has original illustrations and all. It's fun and it's good, and I changed it a little bit, and I recommend it highly. Tropical attire and courage and other phrases that scare me. But it's not like your first book was essays or memoir or memoirish essays.
It was essays about having a baby, and basically, even though Elby was only a few months old, it was with Simon and Schuster, and it was a big deal. And he said, "Can you write a book about babies?" And I was like, okay. And he's like, I mean, could you do a chapter about potty training? And I was like, okay.
So how did you pull it off then?
I researched. I was just, I basically what I realized later that they were buying was just the voice, just the sarcastic, complainy, ranty, oh my God, I can't do this voice.
Right.
So I wasn't it was like an anti-advice book.
Yeah. Oh. Well,
like for instance, I was like, okay, I did a chapter on this. You just reminded me. I was talking to somebody else about this. I did a chapter on finding a pediatrician. And so when you go on the internet and you look up like finding a pediatrician for your new baby, there's a lot of tips. Like interviewing, like
Oh my
look
God.
up 5 different doctors, and go talk to them and ask them what their philosophy
Who has the
is.
time?
And like, nobody has the time to do that. And also, I think one of my jokes I said was like, most people can't ask for a clean fork in a restaurant. You're not going to be like confrontational
Right.
with your pediatrician. What's your philosophy? Are you researched? Have you read the latest? So my theory was find somebody else who is that type A person who's done that and ask them who they used.
That is what I did with finding a preschool. And then
right?
my type A friend who had done her due diligence at the last minute was like, oh, actually, we're not going to go to this preschool. And I was like, what? But the only reason, it's the only one I looked at. but it is still a good school. Just as just a PS to all that, I asked so I had different OBs with each kid. We moved, but also I wanted a different experience. And I asked my first OB what her C-section rate is, because that was something I was told to find out. And she told me, but she definitely kind of like bristled and got a little bit defensive.
Yeah, because if you think about it now, it's kind of a weird question because their C-section rate is probably like, if you need a C-section, I'm going to give you a C-section.
Right.
There's no rate. It's not like they're not pushing them.
Right.
Hopefully.
No, well, especially now, I think insurance really is making it harder to do them. But yeah, I mean, the question suggests, are you doing unnecessary C-section? It was my doula, actually. And I didn't use it. I know a lot of people have great experiences with a doula. Again, it's like I have a problem with shopping, or I only shop around for dishwashers. We just went with the first doula we met because someone else has used her. I just think she was lovely. It wasn't the right fit, but she recommended asking my OB her C-section rate. So I just think there were a lot of cooks in the pot.
Was your doula very earthy crunchy?
Not very earthy crunchy, but definitely more earthy crunchy. Like I'm a very, what does science say? What does medicine say kind of person? And she, I had to be induced with my first, and there's an option of 2 different drugs, Cytotec or Cervidil. And these are drugs that will open up your cervix. And then once you're at a certain point of being, I forget the word, dilation, then they can start doing the drug that starts the contractions, because it won't work before that. So Cervidil takes a long time, and Cytotec is kind of fast. So I was like, well, the idea of the whole induction and my induction ended up taking 41 hours, and it was miserable. But I'm like, yeah, once I'm there, let's just get this show on the road. But my doula was calling me, just putting the fear of God into me about Cytotec. It's like, there's a thing called, and there's a thing called the Cytotec quilt, which is dedicated to all the women who have lost their lives from Cytotec, and just really scaring the shit out of me. And I was like, this is not helping me in this moment. It's actually, because my dad's a doctor, so I already have lots of people telling me, I mean, my dad actually wasn't weighing in on this, but it made it harder for me. And I remember getting to the hospital and actually I called my dad and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, why don't you ask your OB? That's who I would trust. But then this is a very long story already, but it turned out I was already having contractions. So I couldn't even, if I wanted Cytotec, I couldn't. It was too late for that. So I had to do the slow one anyway. But so yeah, she was earthy crunchy to that extent. Why did you have one too?
I had a postpartum doula because people talked me into it.
Yeah.
That was going to help me after I brought the baby home from the hospital. And it was a nightmare because she was the most granola. Oh. And I had a list of all these foods that I had to buy to eat to help with the breastfeeding. Mm-hmm. And I'd had a breast reduction when I was 20. I should have believed that there's a chance you can breastfeed and there's a chance you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to, your ducts have too much scar tissue,
right?
Which was the case with me. But this doula was like, she was going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it was like she was milking a cow. And I would get so tense and scared before she would come over because she would just be like, get your shirt off. Not that I was wearing a shirt.
Right.
I'd be sitting around with my nursing bra and she'd be like kneading my breasts.
Oh, God,
and
yes.
Trying to get that milk out. So it got to the point where I was like, I just breastfed. It was crazy. Like we just breastfed for an hour. We're good. And then I would be sweating it because I would want her to leave so that I could feed my baby, you know?
Right.
And it just became so counterproductive.
Yes.
To
Yeah.
relaxation.
I know. I think the second time around, I definitely knew more what I wanted to do and how it should be. But the first time around, it's like, how can you not defer to people who seem to know?
Exactly. Yes. I was scared. I was
Yeah.
like trying to please this woman
Right.
who was scaring me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second time I didn't do that. And that was with twins and it was much better.
Oh, you had, I think I knew that, but I had forgotten. Twins. What was that like?
Terrible. It's terrible. It was like you do not sleep. Well, they were in the NICU for a while first. Yeah, it's really hard. I don't recommend twins to people on purpose.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was with Elliot, my first, I was initially pregnant with twins and I was very frightened. I was Googling like, how do you carry what was we lived up a flight of stairs and I was just like, how am I going to if I'm alone, how am I going to get them in the car? Like, how am I going to get one? Where am I going to put the other one? I couldn't figure it out. And then I had a miscarriage between like 7.5 and 8.5 weeks. And I was sad, but also relieved because I just don't know how to do it.
So you lost one?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not trying to be a one-upper, Allison, but
you managed to hang on to both. Yeah.
but when I was pregnant with twins, I found out later, thank God I found out after the fact that I'd been originally pregnant with triplets.
How did they know that?
Thank God
From
I didn't know.
placenta?
Because I had a CVS test.
Oh, yeah.
Chronic villus sample
Sampling.
or whatever at like, I guess I must have been like 11 or 12 weeks. And there was like so I had bled around week 7. Or 8. I bled and I thought I miscarried the pregnancy. I thought I had one baby.
Right.
According to my my OB. Then I thought I was having a miscarriage. I went to the hospital. I was bleeding. They ended up telling me I was having twins. A few weeks later, I go to have this CVS test done. And they said, oh, there's a third sac here.
Oh, my God.
But it's empty. Of course, I had a heart attack. I was like, a third sac? Stop. What are you talking about? And they're like, no, it's empty. And I was... Thank God. I was like, every time I have a new ultrasound, they find another baby in here.
I know. Where are they all hiding? Oh, my
and then
goodness.
they said, did you bleed? And I said, yes. In fact, I thought I had a miscarriage. And they said, you did. You were pregnant with triplets.
Wow.
I was so relieved.
Yeah. Did you feel guilty about being relieved?
No, because it had to have happened early. It happened early. No, not at all. God, no.
I did. I felt like I should just be sad, but I'm not because this feels more like what I can handle. The one.
Listen, I was already having twins.
Yeah.
I was already like, where am I going to put all these babies?
Right.
Like, this is LA. I'm living in a 16 square foot house. Well, it was smaller at the time. We added on. And I was like, I don't, there are already going to be too many kids in my house. So like, no, I was not. But I understand if you were pregnant with one, I being a little bit like sad.
Right.
No, you shouldn't have felt bad.
It's
no.
different. The multiples to fewer multiples, it's different than if you lose a whole pregnancy. That I think,
For sure.
I think if I had lost, if I went in pregnant and then was not pregnant, I think I would have just been devastated. But this was just a small gradation.
That's what I'm saying is like, I already had two. I mean, it would be greedy at that point to be upset about not having 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yes,
I get
of course, it would be horrendous to like lose your pregnancy.
Right. Did you always want to be a mom?
No. I was very on the fence. Just being honest.
Yeah. This is where we are honest.
Yeah. I was like, I mean, I remember telling my therapist, I was like, how do you know? Like, I've never been that person. I've never walked into Baby Gap and been like, look at this little onesie. Like, who cares? Never. Never cared. I hated baby showers. I didn't even like people's babies. I was not like, I was never going to be that person that was like, can I hold your baby? I was like, that looks hard. So I didn't, but I didn't want to I wanted to be a mother though. Like I wanted to be somebody's mother. I thought that was like a cool thing. But the baby stuff sounded hard. So I remember saying to my therapist, like, how do you know? Like, how do you know when you're ready or if you should even do it? Because I'm still not feeling. And she was like, nobody really knows. You just do it.
I love when they give you advice. I know that is helpful advice, but my therapist has given me a couple pieces of advice where I'm like, and I'm paying for this. And one of them is, haters gonna hate.
Oh,
she says that. Yeah. And the other one is, and they're related, is don't read the comments. Comments make you crazy. I'm like, I know, but I mean, I could get this somewhere else, somewhere cheaper.
How do you and I are in a similar, podcasting and maybe having come from where you've come from, let's just say a different show where it might have been a different audience.
Yes.
How have you dealt with like negative feedback? How do you stay? I have always found it to be, honestly, like your therapist would have helped me because I have to be very vigilant about not reading comment sections and not ever Googling myself. I don't read Reddit. People say horrible things about me.
My heart went out to you. You mentioned this on the most recent episode of Rosepricks, the eyebrows and empaths episode. Bored AF. Excuse me. Okay. I know you're giving me this look like, what?
I was like, I don't think we called Rosepricks that. Go on.
Bored AF. That you had discovered a thread that was very negative about you and it like messed you up for a few days. How recently was that? Was that a while ago that this happened?
It's happened to me a couple of times. It's happened to me on a couple of times with a couple of different situations. One, it happened to me when I got sober and I was accidentally outed by the New York Times. I'm making myself sound way more famous than I am. It wasn't like that, but I had a blog and I talked on my blog about quitting drinking, and the mommy blogger for the New York Times, and I can't remember her name's Lisa something, the column was called Motherload. She wrote about me, about another blogger getting sober. I guess I had a book out at the time, so that's why it was relevant to her. And I started getting all these phone calls and all like Dr. Phil, like all these people trying to get me to go on their show and talk about it. And it was horrible and kind of very overwhelming. I was very newly sober, but like 4 months into it, the New York Times proper asked me if I would do an interview. And I felt like, why not?
Right.
Like, I just kind of felt like I've avoided this. I don't have anything to hide. I think it could help other women, other moms.
It was about a mommy blogger getting sober. It feels innocuous enough.
It does. And I thought it was actually a great interview. I made a joke at the end because I'm a comedian where I said something like, so I don't drink or whatever. And then I was like, but Vicodin on the other hand. It was a full-on joke. I had been super honest through the whole thing. Well, but that aside, the comments, my husband had to watch the comments. They eventually closed the comment section because of people saying that I should have my kids taken away
because of the Vicodin comment?
No, just because of talking about having
had a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, they were like, I mean, saying that this woman hates being a mother, and she's saying that her kids drove her to drink, like all these things that are not what I said.
Yeah.
And I remember that was one of the first times that I was stunned at the vitriol. But then there was another thread that I read one time on Reddit that was so upsetting to me, that was like saying terrible things about my family, my kids, like. And then I never read that again. Yeah. And then there was just, I had found out, I think this was the most recent thing. I had just found out from some people showing me that on the Adam Carolla page, somebody had started a thread about basically how much they can't stand me. And a lot of people were happy to weigh in on that. Hey, I found my people. I can't stand Stefanie Wilder-Taylor either. She's horrible. And it was like, it's not something that, of course, I would ever seek out. But when people are sending you like, hey, you should know all these people are saying this about you. It's like, it's rough.
But I don't think you should know. I don't think you need to know. I have found, and I'll more fully answer this question, but I have found that exposure to that stuff for me does not create a better show. It does not make me more creative. If anything, it just gets those voices in my head, and then I start having like imaginary discussions with them in my head and holding myself back and not being me, which is the reason that I have this career anyway. It's tough. My heart goes out to you a lot. There's infinitely less of it now for me than there was. I think my first exposure to haters or just to that level of attention was the Adam Carolla Show. Before that, I had done some stuff here and there. I was on this show that was on Fox News in the middle of the night called Red Eye frequently. Do you remember Red Eye?
Of course, yeah.
And
Greg Gutfeld. Right?
Yeah, Gutfeld. So I had been on that show a lot. And for the most part, and I started getting a following from that and from some other things. But I remember finding out that like, excuse me, the show had received an email, like a hateful email about me or maybe a handwritten letter. And I was just like, I can read
a handwritten letter.
I remember walking down to the studio with the producer and someone else, and they mentioned it as like as an aside. But I felt like someone had given me bad news. Like, oh my God, someone out there doesn't like me and they dislike me so much they're going to write to you. But he used to do Mailbag, a segment on the show where he would read all the hate mail he got. So like they had a better perspective on it. But to me, it was just like, whoa, like we got to slow down and let me absorb that someone hates me. And then on the Adam Carolla Show, I remember, the way I was hired on that show, he did this big search for newsgirls, and each potential newsgirl would do one show. And then after that, they culled it down to 4, and we each did a week. But after, I did that one show, and then I went to sleep that night, and then I woke up, and there were tweets already coming, like positive tweets already coming in the middle of the night because they put it up in the middle of the night. And that was a first for me, just the volume of feedback. And then, there started being negative stuff about me, not from that first appearance. It was all very positive at the beginning, but then it just, at the beginning, I was consuming a lot of it because it was positive and it really fed my ego. Mm-hmm. But then to start encountering the negative stuff, at a certain point, I decided I have to stop looking at this because it is hurting me too much. At this point, I had no ability to let it roll off. And it was just, I think I even talked about it on the show one time. Like it was just painful and it just hurt. I made a decision early to never read the boards about Allison Rosen as your new best friend, because that was just like my performance on the Adam Carolla Show was one thing, but my own podcast, it was just too personal. And I was too afraid of becoming like paralyzed. If I read really negative things, and I imagine that might be what it's like, the feeling for you of like you're revealing all this personal stuff about your family and then to have people weighing in. So, okay, here's the thing that I've come to that allows me to sort of shrug this off more. We are people in the public eye. We are characters. We are entertainment, even though we're real people and we're being really honest, which is why it's painful. But it's almost as if we're characters on a TV show. And in the same way that I love to talk about, I feel I don't like this season as much, or I don't this, or I don't, like I'm watching The Crown right now, and now it's Olivia Colman and Helena Bonham Carter, and I just am having so much trouble getting into it. And they could hear me talking about that, and they will, because they're listeners, and they might think I'm not a fan, but it's more like it's just a topic. It's something to talk about. It's not about them at all. And I think that when you serve yourself up as someone who talks about your life on a podcast, that is your entertainment. And you're just someone that they love to hate, or they love to weigh in on this. Like it's not real hate in the same way that I might talk to you about, like, this person I know hurt my feelings, and now I don't know what to do. Like, this is just, it's sports.
I agree with you, but the problem is when you hear stuff that's the same, that's just, I hate Stefanie and I love Lynette. Oh my God, the show would be so much better if Lynette got rid of Stefanie. And then I want to go, well, I've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to happen.
Right.
You know, but this imagination they have of like, oh my God, if I could just have Lynette alone, that would be the show I want to hear. Those are the things that, like, it doesn't help me to hear.
Right.
Because I'm not going to change what I'm doing.
Right.
But it's weird when it's so one-sided. Like, nobody's going like, God, we hate Lynette. It's always just like, we hate. So I don't read reviews in case anybody's like, you know what? I'm going to write a review of her podcast to show her how much I hate her. Since she won't read her tweets and she won't read Reddit.
Right.
Yeah, I don't read the reviews either. So,
but these are people who are angry that you get to have a voice. So fuck them. Why do you get to have every person in the public eye gets this, some degree of this. Like, why do you get to have a voice? You should be quiet like the rest of us. Now, I understand what you're saying but it's very one-sided. But it's coming from a world that is one-sided.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what makes it like, it's a weird position because it gives you a big platform, but it also is it's a little bit like swimming upstream.
Yeah.
With some of that crowd.
Totally.
Because I'm very much the opposite.
Yes.
You know?
Well, I have wondered, because I'm quite liberal and you are too. How do you survive over in that world?
Well, I really feel, I know Lynette is liberal. Democrat. I don't think people want to face that fact. A lot of people, but she is.
Lynette, wife of Adam Carolla, in case people are like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Let's just quick catch up I'm sure everyone knows, but I was the news girl on the Adam Carolla Show for years. I am not anymore. You co-host a podcast, for crying out loud, with Lynette Carolla, Adam's wife, and Carolla Digital is your network. Yeah. Is the network.
Yes. Yeah. Podcast One.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So our show, we would never talk about it. It's not like Lynette doesn't like bring the conservative viewpoint. It's just a liberal show. We're just talking about our lives.
Right.
Basically, we're not talking about politics. I don't want to talk about politics. And the listeners of the show, a lot of them have come from Adam Carolla's audience. And that has been problematic for me because they really hate the fact that somebody's liberal. Even though we're not even talking about politics, it's like somehow they can feel it coming through the microphone, like my crazy progressive ideas that are just too much. But listen, the show's our own show. It's our own thing. And not that like Teresa, was a liberal progressive person too.
She is.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like it was ever anything else. It's not like it was any kind of false advertising.
Right.
So I try to just go, listen, it's not for everybody.
And you have listeners and you guys do well. So I think that there are people who, I think that people want to be aggrieved and want to leave comments, but I don't think it actually it probably doesn't affect their listening. It just affects their shitty comment.
Exactly.
And also you begin to realize I'm sure the stuff they say about you is the stuff they say about me, is the stuff they said about Teresa, is the stuff they say about Gina. Like, it becomes pretty formulaic.
Yes.
So.
It's not creative.
It's not.
People need to take some kind of like comment class.
Yeah.
You know, just to get some like inspo
Yeah.
for writing like better insults.
Hate inspo. That's right. Gosh, so much to get to. Let's do you have a just me or everyone?
Well, I have a just me, probably not everyone.
Okay.
And I thought of it because of why you might not have been able to record.
Oh, good. Okay. Hang on one second.
Today.
Hang on one
Okay.
second because we got to hear something first.
Okay.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
All right. So in this segment, people write in with things they think or do, and we wonder, is it just me or everyone? You can send yours, you can tweet yours to @ARIYNBF, Allison Rosen is your best friend, ARIYNBF on Twitter. I'm not sure if we're going to get into listener ones. We might just hear Stephanie's and then move on because I have so many listener questions for Stephanie. But normally we do take listener ones. Okay. Yes. What is yours?
I'll just make mine really fast.
You don't have to. You can take all day.
Well, I love jury duty. Is it just me or do other people look forward to getting a jury summons? Oh my God, I served on a jury one time. It was the most thrilling week of my life. And I live for those jury summons. And then I get so excited, like, please call me in. And they never do anymore. I only got called in the one time. It's like winning the lottery to me.
What kind of trial was it?
It was a felony threats trial. The guy was drunk driving and bashed into some cars and then threatened to kill everybody with a gun.
Oh my God.
I know. Super exciting.
That is, wow.
Yeah.
I am mixed. Part of me is relieved to not be called in. The other part of me, when I got my summons this week, so this past week I had jury duty, but I was never called in. When I got my jury summons, I was kind of like, I sort of hope I do get called in. I've never been on an actual jury. I've always been dismissed. So I was a little bit disappointed. So I don't think it's just you. And then I actually Googled, can you volunteer for jury duty? I have to tell you guys, though, I hope I took a screen grab of this because when I went today to see, I checked my thing. I actually, you know what? It might be criminal to admit this, but I forgot to check last night, and I was like, "Oh no, am I going to be rescheduled?" But then I checked it today, and it's not here. But there, I found this thing that was like, what it said is like, "Thank you for completing your jury service." Blah blah blah. We look forward to seeing you next time you are summoned. I'm messing it up. It was something very funny. It was almost like as a jail, like if you were a jail saying like, we look forward to seeing you next time you are arrested. Like it was so pleasant and homey. And it's like, we have no choice in this, right? Anyway, Tony, where do you fall in this?
Well, I've never actually gotten called for it either. I've, obviously gotten the summons or whatever to report, but I've never gotten called in. But I can tell you that my gut feeling is I don't really want to do it. If I'm being honest, yeah, I don't know. It feels like weird pressure that I don't think I would like.
Tony, it's your civic duty, right?
I know.
And you can make lifelong friends.
Like, this, that's, don't get me wrong. That's not the reason I'm saying I don't want, I don't know. I just, much like Allison talking about her dishwasher, I struggle with decisions a lot too. And I feel like, I could see myself really like.
Oh, I see what you mean. When it comes down to like deciding on the fate of this person, you wouldn't know. Yeah. I found the thing. It said, it ends with, please visit us again when summoned in the future. Isn't that like, please give us 5 stars on Yelp? Mm-hmm. Actually, they do ask me to fill out a survey, letting them know how my experience was. But please visit us again when summoned in the future. Like, okay.
How was your experience not doing jury duty?
It was pretty easy, I have to say. All right. That was a good just me or everyone. It's definitely not just you. My husband served on a jury, and he speaks of the experience fondly. was like a real 12
Well,
Angry
you-
Men for him.
Yeah, you mostly hear about people trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
So I figured like
We're trying to get into it.
try so hard.
Okay, let's take some questions from our fans. Now, normally I just get a smattering. This time I got a deluge.
Wow.
I take the questions on Patreon, patreon.com/Allison Rosen. A lot of people have questions for you. Let's do it.
When we ask, they send them in. They're wondering how you have been. So thanks so much for answering these questions from our fans.
All right. What were you saying, Stephanie?
I was going to say, what if this was a trick and you were just like going to read me all sorts of negative comments? And then I'm like, is there a question?
Right. Here's the first one.
Okay.
How long is she going to be on that show? Because it would be good without her. Okay. Megan Parkansky says, I saw her commenting in a Vaccine Hunters Facebook group. Has she successfully tracked down a vaccine and how?
That's so funny. Yes, I got my first vaccine and I did it at this place called Kedron Health.
That's where I got mine.
You did?
Yeah.
I stood in line. I got mine. I got my husband got his and my daughter Elby got hers.
Great. Congrats. Yes.
Yeah.
That's where I got mine. That's where Greg Fitzsimmons got his. Yeah.
I got really obsessed. I put something on Facebook about how am I going to get a vaccine? All these other people have a vaccine. And then of course a bunch of people were like, just lie. But I did not want to do that. And then somebody told me about the Vaccine Hunters Facebook group and I joined that. And then I heard about Kedron and then I said, let's do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think my next one's still like 3 weeks away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kedron.
Have you had two?
I've had both. I'm at full immunity. Okay. Audrey Seabrace says, you should ask her about the time she needed a car and was determined to win one on a game show, and she did.
Audrey's my friend. I didn't know she was a
She
a big
is.
listener
She loves
to
you.
your show.
Yeah.
Oh, she is a very talented writer, by the way.
Aw.
I really love her writing. Hollywood Squares. I wrote on Hollywood Squares when I was in my 20s before I had kids, and then before that, though, prior to that, I must have been 21. I went on the show as a contestant and won a Buick Skyhawk and a trip to Jamaica and $1,000.
How was the car? How was the trip?
I went on the trip. Okay. Well, the car, my car was one that I'd driven from Springfield, Massachusetts to LA. It was rusted straight through the bottom, on the floor. So you could stop the car.
Like Flintstone
break
style?
The car, Fred Flintstone style. Yes. This car was so bad, in such bad shape. It had 115,000 miles on it. I left the car. And it had a lot of parking tickets attached to it. So I left the car on the side of the road. I was a very irresponsible early 20s person and let the car just get towed away. And then the new car, you get the basic model. It had AM radio, no AC. And I could not afford, it was going to be like a couple $1,000s to get to step up to AC and FM radio with a cassette. So I did not. I drove that car for 8 years with no AC in LA.
Wow.
And only AM radio.
That's amazing.
I know.
Maureen Bose-Duman, I am so excited for this. Is she still into quote unquote exotic saltwater taffy flavors?
Oh my God. We must have a lot of crossover
I think we do.
Audience.
Yeah.
So I have gotten myself off of sugar. I was really bad for a while, early pandemic. I was eating sugar like it was my job. And I was very into taffy and looking it up, ordering it from a taffy place. I would just get a thing in my head that I need butterscotch toffee. I need
butterscotch toffee taffy?
Sick. Yeah, butterscotch taffy, banana, chocolate banana. I wanted a green apple, jalapeno, whatever. I wanted a whole assortment. And I ate myself sick. And now I'm trying not to eat any sugar.
I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I don't like saltwater taffy. I mean, if it's like, dun, 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 Tony, can you play it? Don't just play your name. Don't you do it. Thank you. I guess if I were dying and all that was dying of hunger and all that was available was saltwater taffy. No, I mean, even before that, maybe it's just late at night and there's nothing else in the house, but I wouldn't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. Am I alone? Does everyone else love saltwater taffy?
That's a good, am I alone in
yeah,
Is it just me?
Right. Tony?
I'm very indifferent. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I had taffy, and probably not even that many times in my life. I could probably go the rest of my life and never have it and not think twice about it. But also, I'm not against it. But yeah, I don't seek it out.
I don't mean to shit on your snack.
Me, I'm fine. I'm quite confident in my
so
candy taste.
Is saltwater taffy something that you're like super into, or it was just a phase?
It was kind of a phase, but I feel like if I started I think I'm done with that phase.
Okay.
That time of my life.
In general, do you veer toward like a nougaty consistency, a fruit flavored situation?
I do like a chewy, not normally fruit. I don't like my healthy foods and sugary foods to mix.
Okay.
So I don't need any kind of fruit in my, you know what I mean? It should just be dessert or you should be eating fruit.
Are you
so I like chocolate. Yeah, I like
a C's candy
like
truffle?
Sure, absolutely. I like candy. Like I eat candy like a little kid. Like give me lemon heads or Mike and Ike's or that kind of thing.
Yeah, not enough.
Fun dip.
What about? How do you feel about like Good and Plenty's or Good and Fruities?
Yes.
Yeah.
Both. Bring it.
All right. Amy Freehill. I'm dying with excitement. Ask her to tell you what a no-getter is. I think you'll relate.
So this is something that came up on For Crying Out Loud. We were just lamenting about the go-getters that we know, things that seem really hard. And Lynette at one point said, I'm a no-getter. And I thought that was so funny. She said it by accident and that just stuck. I was like, that's what we are. We're the opposite of go-getters. Any way that we can cut corners, we're in. Anything that sounds too hard. We're not DIY people. We don't want to do crafts.
Yes.
Anything that seems hard, we want to take the easy way.
I don't know how I feel about this person writing in and saying, I think you'll relate to me, except the truth is I totally relate. Anything that, what was it? Oh, I was resting on my bed yesterday under a heat pad because I'm a 95-year-old woman. And I had a scented candle burning in my bathroom and it just was getting way too strong. It was giving me a headache, but I just couldn't summon the energy to go blow it. I'm like, I could sit here with this headache, hating the scent of everything, or I could get up and blow it out. I'm not going to be doing that.
Classic no-getter move.
I'm a real. But at one point you were a go-getter, right?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm like a go-getter globally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But locally, no.
Yes.
Like anything that's in front of me that just seems hard or technical. Yeah. I don't want to read a lot of instructions.
Yes.
Here's the classic.
I don't want to have to move my body. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah. I'm like, if there's instructions that I need a DVD, like that I need to watch a video on how to do something, I would just rather not do it.
Yes. Yes. I'm glad there's a name for us. Allison Rosen has a question. I know her. Love her. Are you still friends with Chelsea Handler?
No, not at all. And she kind of blew me off after I had a baby. Well, we both had a book coming out at the same time. And then one day I just never heard from her again.
That's it?
And it was, yeah.
How?
We were really good friends. Like she was one of the people that threw my baby shower.
And then you never heard from her?
She kind of blew me off. Nothing happened. We didn't get into a fight. I think she just moved on in her life and just, yeah.
That's too bad.
I know. I miss her.
What time of life was this for her? Was this before her show?
She was doing Girls Behaving Badly.
Okay.
When we were really good friends, but then, and she had just started the talk show. And then the talk show moved over to the new way it's a talk show. So I think Greg Fitzsimmons worked on the first version of it, and then that didn't go. And then she had a second version of her show, Chelsea Lately.
Yeah.
That had just started, and then our friendship stopped.
Right. Huh. Yeah, it's interesting. I've interviewed a lot of people who were once close to her, or who are still close, more who were. And I've heard some people have nothing negative to say, and then some people have a lot of negative things. She's polarizing. Personally, I guess, is what I mean to say.
She never did anything to me except for completely stop being my friend. Before that, she was a very generous, sweet, fun person.
So how do you feel towards her now?
I mean, I think it sucks that she sort of ghosted me, but it is what it is.
Did you try to reach out?
I did. Yeah, I tried a few times and I just got no response. So then I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I haven't tried lately. Chelsea lately.
I know. I heard it. I heard it happen. Tammy H says, how is Xander doing? How are the rest of the kids doing?
Xander's doing fine. And all my kids are doing fine. They're struggling a bit. It's a pandemic. All my kids have very different personalities and it's hard. They get lonely. They're at such a formative age. They need friends. They need to be around other kids. And it's been a long year for them. But truthfully, especially with Sadie and Xander, it's middle school years. And if you're going to miss any year, if you're going to stay home, I say 7th grade is the year to miss.
I have recently been talking about how everything was fine and then 7th grade happened and it those 7th grade girls are such bitches everywhere across the board. Yeah.
Worst time of my life. It's
true. Yes.
7th grade.
Same. I mean, socially, the worst time of my life. Yeah.
Right. Me too.
Yeah.
I had no friends. I was bullied.
I was the outcast.
7th and 8th grade. Me too. Outcast. Did you see the movie Welcome to the Dollhouse?
No, I probably should.
About Don Wiener Dog?
Oh, yeah.
Tony, have you ever seen this movie? That was that was me. I totally related to that movie. I had a little chip on my shoulder. I was mad at everybody who was mean to me.
Same. Yeah. But I had been fine prior to everyone going insane in 7th grade.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So you're right.
Lovely time in elementary school through 6th grade.
Good time to stay home.
And then 7th and 8th.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then your older daughter, what?
She's in the 10th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been hard. It's been hard for her.
Are they all still home or is there hybrid school now?
No, they're all still home. In May, my little ones, 13, they're going to go back to a hybrid situation, but it's only once a week.
Oh.
So how bad could that be?
Right.
And LB is not going to go back, even though they are going to offer a hybrid. Because listen how stupid this is. They want to have all these high school kids go sit in an advisory class and Zoom their own classes while the teacher in the advisory classes Zooms with all their classes.
Wait, what?
So everybody sits in a room, wears noise-canceling headphones, and individually does their school day from a desk in the school.
Like telemarketing.
Yes, who needs that?
I don't understand. Isn't the point of what's the point of that?
No point.
That feels like a half measure.
I think it's that the schools start making money again because they're having people in
there.
Their school.
Yeah. Oh, that's so weird. That's so weird. The whole point of going back would be to do in-person learning.
Right. So we opted out of that.
Yeah.
For her. So she's going to finish online and hopefully the fall will be normal again.
Is that what all of you're in LA County?
LAUSD.
Yeah. Is that what all of LAUSD is doing? Do you know?
I guess. Yeah, I think so.
Because I have littles,
Terrible.
I'm not up on all of that. That seems so silly. Okay. Amy Freehill says, when she had talked about her relationship or non-relationship with her mom, I'm sad but oddly inspired. My husband's parents are very toxic. Any advice on distancing people like that from your life?
Well, I haven't spoken to my mother or stepfather since Elby was 2 and she's 16, so in 14 years. And it's such a personal decision. I think you have to really decide how much you can tolerate. And when you reach a certain point and you just go, is my life going to be better with no relationship? For me, the pulling away was kind of slow. It started with like, she wasn't speaking to me for a while, and then I worked my way back in and kind of tolerated it for another like 9 months. And then I just said, this is too much. It's better to not have any relationship. And it's been better for me because no drama.
Yeah. So she wasn't talking to you. Why?
Oh my gosh. It is such a long story, but, some people are not good at having relationships where they have to ever own their part or say they're sorry, or it has to be their way or the highway.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And so you have to decide how much of that is okay.
Right.
And for me, once I had a kid, I started seeing that in a different way. Like I was willing to tolerate less of that.
It's interesting. Yeah. I think I became that way as well.
It's you tolerate so much as a kid because you're like, well, this is all I have. This is all I get, right? You're going to take crumbs because it's something.
Right.
But then when you're a parent and you're like, but I don't have to have a mother and stepfather in my life. I don't have to. Like, it's not adding anything. And if it starts really taking away from your well-being, then you just have to decide, like, do I have to feel guilty? Like I owe, when people say, well, that's your mother, I say, well, I'm a mother too. I would never do that. I would never
treat your own child that way.
I don't know. You make your own family.
Right. Agreed.
So I say, just decide, is your life going to be better? And don't feel guilty.
BS in Education podcast says, oh my God, 2 of my favorite ladies together on the same podcast. Stefanie, any plans for another book?
No. Writing books is so hard. I don't want to. I told you I'd much rather do podcasts.
Yeah.
I can get everything out that I want to say, and it's immediate. You write a book, it takes like 18 months for the book to come out after you've written it. Half the time I don't even feel the same way about any of those things. Like, I'm like, what was I writing about? That was like a year and a half ago. Things are totally different. So I don't know.
Between the 3 podcasts and all the Patreon stuff, how many episodes are you doing a week?
So I do a regular episode of Bored AF with Cecil. I just did one this morning, and a Patreon every week. Rosepricks, regular episode and a Patreon. And for crying out loud, 2 regular episodes and a Patreon.
And do you record those?
7 a week.
That's so many. Do you?
Mondays we do we do 2 episodes of For Crying Out Loud and our bonus. When I'm watching The Bachelor, I watch it at night and then I record the next morning, and then we do our bonus either then or sometime during the week. And then Bored AF, I usually record on Friday, both episodes.
Got it.
What about you?
I do my this show, so the one that airs Monday, usually do that one on Friday. And then my Thursday show, which is the group show, I usually do that one on Monday. And then my bonus, like I'm going to do my Patreon bonus after this. And then we do Childish it comes out every other Wednesday. Probably maybe go back to weekly. I don't know. But
yeah, why are you doing it every other week?
Because at the beginning it was just, we didn't have childcare. We still do. We might be having childcare again, but we didn't have childcare for a really long time. And it was just so overwhelming. And we were like, let's just pair things. Let's just simplify things a little bit. Because we used to, in person, we would record every 2 weeks and just do 2 episodes at a time. So then we weren't doing that. We were doing it on Zoom and I don't know. So yeah. So you're doing a ton of recording and teaching your class. My God.
And you do a bonus on Childish.
We don't. No, we don't have a Childish Patreon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. And are your bonus episodes are they like a full episode?
Mm-mm. No. Usually like 20 minutes.
Okay.
15, 20 minutes at the most.
That seems super manageable.
It is. It's not bad. I've gotten really used to it. I've gotten used to the schedule. I like it. And they're all my podcasts are so different.
Yeah.
Like Rosepricks, I'm recapping a show. And currently we're recapping Dating Around, that Netflix show, which is really fun. And it's only a half hour. And then our bonuses are we're doing Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Oh, wow. How fun.
So I don't have to pull from my life for that. Bored AF, we're talking about a lot of stuff we've watched, what we're watching on TV, or just funny stories from our lives as comedians in our 20s. So that's just really fun. It doesn't feel like pressure. The only one that's hard sometimes is For Crying Out Loud because, you know, my life is just kind of boring. So
well, in the pandemic too.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be tough. All right. Lee Bruns, does she still do the podcast with Lynette Carolla? You do?
Yes.
And Maria Carrington, I am so excited by this. I doubt she will want to discuss given she works with Lynette, but I'd love to hear the two of you talk about Adam. Well, what is there to say really? So I can reveal a weird thing. I've talked about this before though, but every now and then I have dreams. I have not talked to him since he fired me. And every now and again I'll dream about him. And in the dreams, there's always this sense of affection. Like it's usually there's a show and for some reason I've been called in to be on the show, but I'm a little bit uncomfortable, like not knowing if I'm welcome or not. But then like I actually am like super welcome. Like they're so happy to have me in this moment that they need me. And then it's like there is this love lost between us. And I don't mean romantic love, obviously, but like there's this affection and this recognition of each other. But it's so, and then I wake up and I'm like, that's definitely not reality. It's so weird. My dream, what actually happened has not yet crossed over into my dreams. Really, I think I've had one dream where there was something acrimonious between us. It's very weird. I don't know what he represents to me in my mind.
Well, was probably a really hard thing that you work with somebody for 4 years. You did that show for 4 years, right?
4 years.
And then you're just all of a sudden not doing
and
it anymore. And
completely blindsided by it. That's the thing, is that I felt like we're in a good rhythm. I'm broken in. I'm very good at what I do on the show. Now, because of aforementioned haters, I know there's, not everyone feels that way, but I thought that I was like doing a kick-ass job on the show. And also I'm doing my show on his network and it's making money and it's making him money. So he'd have to be crazy to fire. I mean, arguably I had become too comfortable. I don't know. Like I just couldn't even, I never imagined that would happen. So then when I got that email, I was like, what? It was so surprising.
And did you write back?
Nope. I never wrote back. And sometimes I wonder in a way that it amuses me. Like, what if I had just shown up for work after the break, like pretended I never got the email? What would have happened? How awkward that would have been. No, I don't know if I should have emailed back. I mean, I considered it, but I don't know.
Email back now.
It's one of
what?
Email back now. She says, sorry, just now seeing this.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's so funny. Oh my God. I should do that. Or just like, oh shoot, this has been in my drafts folder. I meant to send this.
But things worked out for you, I would say, for the better.
I think so.
Because I don't know if your show would be this big, right? And it's your own thing.
Yeah.
And you're not a sidekick. It's your show.
No, I'm not sad about not being there anymore. I didn't appreciate the way it all happened, and it was not great at the time.
Right.
But
well, let me ask you this, Allison.
Okay.
When you see certain things like tweets or whatever, do you think to yourself like, oh, that would have been an interesting challenge to offer a different viewpoint if I was still there?
No, I think thank God I'm not there.
Best that I'm not there.
Thank God I'm not there. Thank God. That's what I think. Thank God I'm not there, because I couldn't sit there and keep my mouth shut. And it would become really unpleasant that's the thing, is that he says he wants people to disagree with him, but he doesn't. Anytime someone disagrees with him, it becomes very uncomfortable very fast. And it's not in a funny debating way. It's in a like, oh shit, he's taking this personally, like, oh fuck, he's angry way. And to not have to be there when Trump was president was probably good for me. And all the COVID stuff. Like occasionally I will feel sort of nostalgic and I'll think like, but we had, I really enjoyed being silly on the show with him because he can be very absurd and very silly. And that was like my favorite version of him, really just fast and funny and silly. And I miss that. But then I'll look at some of these tweets and I'm like, I don't even know if that guy's there anymore.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing about how people change. My husband and I both were super big fans of the Man Show.
Yeah.
And I mean, personally, we were like, that guy, Adam's the talent between the two of them. It's just funny.
It is. I remember thinking that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, he's so witty and funny and edgy. He's got that fun edge.
Right.
Yeah. It's weird when it's hard to know, like when people tweet things, if it's just the thing that I have trouble with is the whole cancel culture, how everything's become like, oh, you can't make jokes anymore. And I feel like that's just a lack of progression as a society. And I don't have that pull to like, I would like to still be ignorant. I would like to stand up for racism.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we say these things? Well, to me, there's a reason we don't speak that. Like, we don't use certain words anymore because they're hurtful to people. And, I just think that it's a problem when people refuse to progress and then it makes you sound bitter and angry.
Right. It's not
and then
someone
you react to everything. And it's not my kind of humor at that point.
Right. So, and I don't know how you can answer this. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I don't know if you can answer this. Okay. So you can bow out if you need to.
Okay.
You said that Lynette is a Democrat. How does she handle it?
I think that they don't see eye to eye on certain things, and that's just how it is. I don't think she pretends to feel a different way than she does. I think they just don't talk about that kind of stuff.
That must be frustrating.
I couldn't handle that. My husband is a raging Democrat. Liberal. He just gets so fired up about politics, and thank God.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
And lastly, Sarah Parks says, I would love to hear an Allison, Stephanie, Tony discussion about yacht rock. And then I was looking at your Instagram, and you have some yacht rock posts. I don't know what's going on. Fill me in.
I love yacht rock. Should that have been a just me, or is it everyone? Because I love yacht rock completely unironically. Okay, I proudly love Kenny Loggins. I went to go see Kenny Loggins, Michael McDonald, and Christopher Cross sailing, and I was screaming and swooning, and I love it. I love my yacht rock station. I was super excited when that station came out on Sirius.
What is even what
and the 70s?
What makes for yacht rock?
Yacht rock is like soft hits of the 70s and 80s.
Okay. I know what you mean.
So yeah, like she said, sailing, Christopher Cross, like just anything that sounds vaguely like that.
Got it.
Yeah, a lot of Toto.
Got it.
Steely Dan. I'm not a big Steely Dan person, but like anything by Michael McDonald, yes, please. Tony, are you a yacht rock guy?
I'm not opposed to it necessarily, but I don't every now and then maybe a song might sneak through for me, but I don't seek it out. But I have some appreciation for some here and there.
Like Hall & Oates?
Okay. Yes. Like, of course. Seen them in concert. I would risk COVID. Well, I'm 80% safe from COVID, but I would risk that other
20%.
Not being at the 90% to go see Hall & Oates in concert. Yes. Sarah Smile, great song. But I'll take also the 80s hits too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that you would consider them yacht rock. I feel like I'm not
Very
saying you're
much
wrong.
so.
I just I had never thought of them that way.
You know that song, I Always Feel Like Somebody's Watching Me? Is that yacht rock?
Yes, Rockwell.
Rockwell.
No.
That's not really, no.
That's yacht Rockwell.
That's just an 80s. That's just an 80s song.
Okay.
Yeah, I love 80s music too. That I Always Feel Like Someone's Watching Me, for me, was high school. Like a big song for me in high school. I mean, I like a lot of different types of music, but I don't know, maybe it's nostalgia or I don't know, but I love it. I went to go see this band called Yachtly Crew at the Canyon Club, and this is Los Angeles, and it was one of the best shows. It was so fun. They wear they dress like kind of Captain and Tennille. They all wear captain's hats, and they do like choreographed dances, and it's really fun, and they do all those songs.
Canyon Club, I think we did an Adam Carolla show there. Is that in Agora Hills or something? Or
Yeah. Yes.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Nice. Tony is a professional, big time drummer. He has a gold record, and we like to give him a lot of shit and that it's fake, but it's actually real. He's in a band called Motion City Soundtrack. Your children have probably heard of them, but Tony, and he's in other bands. Have you ever played yacht rock?
I'm sure I've definitely played some songs in that vein for like I've played some like wedding receptions from time to time. So I think I'm trying to think of something that I would have played that would fit into there. But yeah, I feel like some of those songs are definitely
Muskrat Love.
No.
Maybe you need to do that right when we end.
Huh?
Maybe you need to go play Muskrat Love right when we end.
Yes, I'll get
Listen, this has been more delightful than I can even put into words. This has been so much fun. You have to come back. You guys, if you
really fun.
If you like what you're hearing, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. It helps out the show so much. Rate, review, subscribe, tell your friends. Make glowing posts about us on social media. Click 5 stars. Do all the things. I know you're already watching on youtube.com/Allison Rosen as well if you want to see our faces. I'm on Patreon. I mentioned that. I'm also on Cameo. And please follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Allison Rosen. And follow the show's Twitter feed at ARIYNBF. Stephanie, plug all your things and let everyone know where they can find you.
Well, please listen to my show Bored AF because it's kind of new. It's fairly new. It's only a year old. It's with my friend Cecily Nobler, and she's so funny and so talented. She's like a radio person. And also, for crying out loud, I think a lot of you guys know me from that already. And Rosepricks is my show, and you can follow me on Twitter at @SWilder-Taylor. Same for Instagram. I don't really tweet a lot, but sometimes I get in Twitter fights with people, so that could be fun to watch.
Something to come watch. Tony, what about you?
I'm at Tony Thaxton on Twitter and Instagram. My podcast, Bizarre Albums, every Tuesday. And this coming Thursday, I'm playing drums with Don't Stop or We'll Die for a live stream on Twitch. So twitch.tv/Don't Stop or We'll Die. April 8th. I'm not positive of the time, so look at the aforementioned social
just
media
log
for
in
all
right
that.
now and sit there until,
Just wait.
until Thursday. Stephanie, thank you again. This was so nice.
Thank you. So fun. I'm really glad we got to. I felt like we were just like hanging out, having lunch.
Me too. Listeners.
Thank you, Tony.
I hope you felt the same way. You guys, thank you so much for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen Show? We had a good time, but now we gotta go. Yeah, Allison Rosen is your new best friend.